Hi everyone, I'm Bob Laliberte, Principal Analyst from theCUBE Research, and I'm joined today by Shailesh Manjrekar, the Chief AI and Marketing Officer from Fabrix.ai, and Zeus Kerravala, the Principal Analyst from ZK Research. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, glad to have you guys on. And today we want to talk about the fact that Fabrix.ai is hosting a half-day summit titled Agentic AI Unleashed, the Future of Digital and IT Operations. And we're going to bring together analysts, customers, and partners to explore how enterprises can truly operationalize agentic AI. And today, what we want to do is give you a preview of what you're going to see. So, Shailesh, why don't you get us started and talk a little bit about what inspired Fabrix.ai to host this summit and how it ties into your broader mission to operationalize AI agents at scale.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. We are super excited about this event, and thanks for the collaboration with SiliconANGLE. So, the primary purpose of this event was, right, so there's a lot of claims and counterclaims going on in the industry about agentic, right? It's transformational, but there are also questions around trust. There are questions around, hey, what are the right use cases? Where do I start? And so on and so forth. And we wanted to put out our point of view as we are seeing with working with some of the early customers, early adopters, as well as, the partners, right? And put out, if you look, a lot of claims from MIT, from BCG, and so on. So an ordinary customer is actually confused about where do I really start this journey. So the purpose of this summit is really about to kind of demystify some of those claims and what the real use cases are, the low-hanging use cases, and how the operational world is different from the business intelligence world, which is where most of this, claims and counterclaims are originating from.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And Zeus, I wanted to tap into your insights. From your perspective, why is this such a pivotal moment for these enterprises as they're trying to move from pilots to production? And how do you see Fabrix.ai helping solve those issues?
Yeah, we're certainly at a interesting point in AI. We've been talking about it for a while, but enterprises today are at an inflection point in their AI journeys. Over the past 2 years, most companies have experimented with AI pilots and proofs of concept, often used in isolated use cases such as chatbots, anomaly detection, or knowledge assistance. However, the challenge now isn't about proving AI can work. We know it can. It's about making AI operational, scalable, and integrated across the enterprise. And I think there's several forces that are coming together to create this perfect storm. And that's moving AI from hype to accountability, and includes things like fragmented architectures, which are slowing progress. Operational complexity obviously is at an all-time high. Regulatory pressure is rising. And I think the window for competitive advantage is now narrowing, right? We were at an event, Bob, where somebody said, there are no fast followers today, right? It's you either do AI or you don't. And I think what I like about Fabrix.ai is they sit directly in this transition gap, helping enterprises move from experimentation to execution through agentic operations, or AgentOps, as Fabrix.ai refers to it, and data fabric integration, right? And so in simple terms, it provides the plumbing and orchestration layer to make AI production ready.
Yeah, I like your assessment, Zeus, and certainly, like I said, the big challenge is going to be enabling that agentic operations at scale, and I think that's what we're going to be hearing a lot about. Shailesh, turning back to you, this summit's going to be part awareness, part education, also call to action. What do you want attendees to walk away with? How are they going to what are they going to understand better about agentic AI?
Yeah, so that's a good point, Bob, right? So certainly what we want to achieve through this is we want to be the trusted advisor for our customers when it comes to agentic, right? And as I said, they don't know where to start. What are the use cases to start? Even in the operational world, frankly, the operational world or the operational intelligence world is actually a low-hanging fruit to try out some of these agentic use cases, right? So we want to help them embark on this journey. We have also launched what we are calling a AAA program, Agentic AI Acceleration, right? And this takes away some of the pain points or some of the unknowns behind, hey, what stack I should be using, what GPUs, and so on. So we provide a certain tier of tokens when the customer wants to embark on this journey, right? So that's a white glove program, what we have launched for customers who want to be early adopters for them. So we want them to walk away with the use cases which they think are kind of, low-hanging fruits, as well as work with us to leverage this particular program for beachhead use cases.
Got it. Got it. Sounds good. And I know one of the first sessions that we're going to do will feature the three of us talking about market trends, even talking about some of the recent reports that have been published that highlight the lack of value from AI. Zeus, without getting into too much detail, what's the essence of this debate? What do you think maybe these studies missed about enterprise AI readiness?
Yeah, I find these reports fascinating. They remind me a lot of the early days of the internet, where people said companies weren't getting value in the internet, right? And so today we don't really think about a world without it. But a lot of the recent studies claim that enterprises are not seeing much value from AI, suggesting that adoption is stalling or that ROI is somehow elusive. But I think the reality is it's more nuanced. The debate isn't about whether AI delivers value. I think we all know it does. It's about where it's about where enterprises are in that maturity curve. And I think most of these reports measure outcomes based on pilot stage metrics, not full production impact. So they're essentially assessing AI experiments, not AI at scale. And those are two completely different things. It's like judging the potential of cloud computing in '08 based on early migration pilots. Technically accurate, but strategically misleading. And so you ask what they're missing. I think AI readiness is not binary, right? It's not, I did get value or I didn't, right? It's layered. And I also think it did miss the big fact. What we're going to be talking about is that operationalizing AI or AgentOps is the missing link.
Right. Yeah, no, and I really like those analogies that you brought up. But we've seen this movie before. We know how it rolls out. And so also, but along to your prior comment about there are no fast followers, the key is everyone's got to get started.
Yeah.
So Shailesh, I wanted to turn to you for a second because obviously these reports are calling out only 5% are getting value. I'm wondering how your real world customer data contrasts with that study and what that suggests about adoption and ROI.
Yeah, so again, as I said, there are claims and counterclaims, right? So there is a MIT report which talks about, hey, only 5%. There's a counter report from BCG which talks about, hey, only the top 5 to 8% are reaping actually 80% of the benefits, which is actually a good statement. There are other reports which will go in the virtual summit in more details, right? Like IDC talking about, hey, for every dollar you are investing in agentic, there is a return of almost $3, right? Which is pretty kind of promising, right? But having said that, one kind of glaring, thing out of these reports is they mostly focus on the BI aspects of an enterprise, right? The operational intelligence world seems to be left alone, right? Where there are really tangible benefits and there are also low-hanging use cases, right? You're not affecting your top line, right? Or your business models and so on. So that is what we are going to strive to kind of explain that, hey, operational world and the operational use cases are much more kind of low-hanging fruit when it comes to trying out some of this agenting. The other thing which kind of caught me from this report is it's really not the AI capabilities. It's really about the organizational readiness, right? As Zeus was also pointing out, right? Or change management, right? And because AI agentic particularly is very transformational, not just from the technology level, but also at a business level, right? You got to be able to look at these vendors, right? Or the AI ecosystem vendors more like BPOs, right? So it's your digital workforce. And that's where you need to be able to be ready to handle that new kind of paradigm change.
Yeah, and Shailesh, I've got a follow-up question to that. Bob and I were at an event a little while ago. I think one of the data points that came out of that said that 55% of all data generated now moving forward will be from machines. And it seems like enterprises are collecting data faster than they can operationalize it. And isn't that where your platform really differentiates itself?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a great point, right? So, collecting data is very, very easy, right? And in the operational world, this data has a lot of insights, right? But the real value becomes, hey, how do you collect this data, but also be able to enrich that data? You're only collecting and you're only storing, right, data which actually makes sense, right? And that's where we have a data fabric which does things like federated analysis right at where the data is generated. That means you don't have to ingest all of this data. But also more importantly, we create the context around this data. We do our own real-time topology discovery. We don't depend on a CMDB. And that's very vital because telemetry for the sake of telemetry is not of much use. You got to be able to create that context around that data and then create that semantic layer on top of it, such that now this AI layer or the agentic layer or what we call our AI fabric is able to leverage that effectively. And that's what our data fabric does extremely well. And we've been doing this for quite some time, right? As you guys know, we started as an AI ops company, right? And our claim to fame in the AI ops world was really this data fabric, right? We quickly realized that the AI is only as good as the data at hand, right? So that has been kind of the challenge and the promise of data fabric. One other thing I wanted to talk about is, the operational world data is basically challenged with this what we call 4 V's, right? It's really the volume, velocity, variety, right? Different data types and the veracity of that data. And you need a data fabric to be able to handle all of that. Okay? And that's what we do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Certainly, it's important to be able to collect all the data. Even more important, to have the right data to provide the context for what specific task that you're working on. So super important. Looking forward to hearing more about that. One of the other things that we're going to do at the summit is have a couple of short platform demos and a couple of agentic use cases that you're going to be talking about, Shailesh. Can you give everyone a little preview of what they're going to see?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So again, we'll be talking about our agentic platform, right? And think of this platform like if you guys watch OpenAI Day yesterday or day before, they talked about ChatGPT being the operating system, right, for agentic, and that's an operating system for say the BI world. We want to be the operating system for the operational world, right? And think of our platform as that operational system, right, or the OS for machine learning, machine data, right? And we have the platform itself is based on 3 different architectural pillars, what we call data fabric, which we just talked about. There's the AI fabric, which leverages a bunch of LLMs, but again, the LLMs become just a means to an end, right? It's really all the building blocks you need, the guardrails, the context engineering, the evaluation agents, right? Ensuring that these LLMs are not hallucinating. And then finally, the automation fabric takes the actual action based on this, the analytics from the AI agents, right? It could be simple things like onboarding. For example, we automate the onboarding for Splunk ITSI, right? Or it could be actually taking action, working with Cisco BPA or NSO, right? Business process automation or the services orchestrator, right? Or it could be something like IBM's automation framework, right? And so on and so forth, right? So that's the value, and that's the platform we'll be talking a lot more about in the summit.
Yeah, now Shailesh, you've used the term AgentOps to describe the process of the agents managing AI agents, and can you give some examples of how this is already driving business outcomes?
Yeah, so again, essentially AgentOps is being able to manage the life cycle of the agents, right? Being able to observe them, explain them, right? The entire cycle, learn from them. So these AI agents are essentially, they are reasoning, they are learning, they are adapting. One particular use case I would like to highlight, I wrote a blog just last week about it. So there was a CE which Cisco just put out, right? Primarily kind of listing out that there were SNMP holes, right? For install base of switches and routers and so on. So we have an agent, we actually developed this agent for that particular purpose called CVE Exposure Assessment Agent. What it does is it goes to a trusted source, it looks for CVEs, it assesses the risk of those CVEs, then kind of scans and discovers the devices which have an iOS version which kind of is likely to have risk from this particular CVE, and it provides you the entire gamut of remediation, right? There is tactical remediation where you are blocking some of the SNMP ports, but also over a period of time being able to upgrade that iOS version. So this is really the power of the AI agents when you're putting or leveraging the LLM at the center of decision making. Zeus, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. And Zeus, turning to you, from an industry standpoint, how do you see this shift changing how enterprises are thinking about AI ops, agentic ops, even observability and automation?
Yeah, it really is a big shift. And this shift towards AI agents managing AI agents or AgentOps, right? I think is a fundamental evolutionary step in how enterprises run digital operations. It's the next logical step beyond AI ops, which we've talked about for a while, and traditional automation, because it moves from reactive intelligence to autonomous coordination. And so to me, agent ops changes the conversation from managing systems to managing intelligence. It transforms observability into awareness, automation, and autonomy, and AI ops into an ecosystem of self-learning, self-correcting AI agents. And I mean, this has been the holy grail for IT for a long time, Bob.
Yeah, absolutely. I think and the hard part is the foundation keeps changing on us, right? The goalposts keep changing on us and what we're going to do. So the technology has to become a lot more sophisticated to adapt to these much more complex environments and to be able to deliver that real value. Getting back to the summit, Shailesh, you've dedicated entire sessions to customers and partners. Why was it so important for you to include those voices in this summit?
Yeah, clearly the customers are important to share kind of, what's like the early adoption journey, but it's not just adoption. It's, as Zeus has been pointing out, it's really the move from the pilot stage to actually production stage, right? How can you scale this? And particularly in complex operational environments, whether it be telcos, whether it be service providers and so on, right? So that's for the customers. The partners are actually the enablers, right? So we strongly believe that, agentic is actually an ecosystem play, right? And we want to bring in the partners whom we have been working with, right, to share their experiences and their point of view and their vision around agentic. So that's really what is driving the platform, the partner and the customer section of the summit.
Shailesh, when you talk about partners as enablers, what kind of ecosystem partners are you talking about? Cloud, networking, data? Who's helping you bring this vision to life?
Yeah, so again, if you look at the agentic ecosystem, right, it goes across the cloud native applications, it goes across the traditional applications, right? So agentic has to be embedded into your existing processes, applications, and so on, right? So pretty much it's across the board, but the networking folks, they own the pipes, right? They have a lot of data, right, across several years, right? Guys like Cisco or IBM and so on and so forth, they've been doing for a long time. So those are the partners whom we work with. There are also partners like AWS, where we leverage a lot of their kind of stacks, AI stacks like Bedrock and so on and so forth for LLMs, particularly for LLMs, right? So it goes across the board and it caters to personas like IT ops, right, NOC ops, SecOps, and AI ops, right? So the personas and the use cases have really not changed, right? But now we have a new way to actually address and mitigate those use cases.
Well, listen, gentlemen, this summit is really shaping up to be a must-attend event for enterprises. Certainly, if you're an IT leader, executive, you're in operations, network security, et cetera, this is something that you want to hear about. So, Shailesh, how and when can people register, and what's the one reason why they can't afford to miss this?
Yeah, so they can register either on the SiliconANGLE site, which have been our partner for this summit, as well as they can register on the Fabrix.ai site. You'll get to hear from our leadership across the board, right? And it'll be pretty super excited about this event. We will also be at a number of different events, right? So I will be there next week at GITEX in Dubai, in Cisco booth. We'll be at KubeCon, we'll be at Gartner IOCS, right? So there are several events where you can come and talk to me and our team. And one thing, if I were to kind of compelling reason why customers or the enterprises would want to attend this is really agentic is your new AI digital workforce, right? And you got to be able to be ready to embrace this, right? At least be aware of this as we go along and embark on this journey. But thank you, Bob and Zeus, for this video.
Yeah, and Bob, I want to add, as analysts, we'll be there to challenge the myths, share insights, and help frame where this next era of AI-driven operations is heading. As we talked about, it's coming fast. You don't want to miss this.
Well, this has been a great conversation, gentlemen, and I want to make sure that everyone out there, make sure you mark your calendars for November 12th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Make sure you're joining us for Agentic AI Unleashed, the future of digital and IT operations. It's going to be a half-day virtual summit with theCUBE Research, ZK Research, and Fabrix AI to hear about the future of AI operations.